All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to Keystroke Live this morning. My name's Lynn, and I've met a lot of you before. Today we're going to be talking about pricing basics, just the real down-to-earth first things you need to consider when you're pricing in Keystroke. Let's start a little bit about Keystroke Live. It's every Wednesday, 10 a.m., same time, same place. We do technical training on various topics each week. And the first Wednesday of the month is with Michael Gebb. Now, this will be changing after the first of the year. We will have a session next week. Then we will have a couple weeks off for the holidays, and after the first of the year, will be changing to Thursday mornings instead of Wednesday, and at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. We're going to try to switch it up. Some people, we've been doing this for about a year and a half, couple years, and so, give other people a chance if their schedule doesn't permit at the current time frame. Okay, the one thing to remember always, and I'm going to say this several times, in Keystroke, whatever is in your base price field must be always the highest price that you would ever sell an item for. You can never sell an item higher than base price. So you always want to set it up that way. List price, sometimes people like that to be a higher price. They can put it on their receipts. Hey, list price $19.95. Your price $16.95. That's great, as long as the base price is the highest price you're going to sell it for the average person just walking in and buying an item. We have some new settings in Keystroke on pricing, and I'll show you those in a minute. It's in Configuration Manager under the Settings menu and Database Parameters. On the Inventory Database screen, you can choose to show a markup percentage instead of the profit margin or profit percentage. And you can have those figures based on the last cost, whereas the default is based on average cost. Of course, you want to always speak with your accountant or whoever you're in business with to determine which of these settings and how you want to price your items. Now, the biggest thing people get confused about is the profit and markup. The easiest way I remember to kind of think about this, a 50% profit or profit margin is 100% markup. I put these formulas here. They're pretty basic, and these are not percentages. They are just the decimal figure. And if you're confused on this, there's a lot of great sites out on the internet describing the differences. But if you could just think about a 50% profit margin is the same as 100% markup. So we're going to go to Keystroke here. And I'm going to show you where those settings are here in Configuration Manager, the Settings menu, Databases, right down here, Inventory Percent fields. You can choose to show markup instead of profit margin or have those percentages based on last cost instead of average cost. We're going to leave them like this for now. I'm going to show you what an inventory database record looks like and where those percentages are, and then we'll go back and change it and you can see the differences. So we're going to go to Database Manager inventory, and we're going to, bring up an inventory item here. And I'm just going to close the picture. So you can see here that with this item, your average and last costs are the same. And your base price is at a 42% profit margin. And what I'm going to do is so we can really see the difference here, I'm going to change our default screens. I'm not going to go into setting the default screens to a great extent, but when you're first setting up databases for a business, you want to kind of determine your pricing structure, and you can set up both your add and your edit default modes to populate the price fields based on your average cost or last cost fields. We're not going to get into that a whole lot, but I'm going to kind of show you what this is. And I do want to make available these cost fields. And I'm just highlighting the field, hitting F3, and changing the security level so I can change those fields. By default, when you first set up Keystroke, you have formulas on both your add and your edit screen. Now this is the edit screen. The base price, if we highlight that, is set up at a 50% profit margin. The plus M is a profit margin, and it is, we're going to say it's based on cost. So it's linked from cost down here. Your list price is linked from the base price, and on this particular default, it's going to be the same. Then you have your level 1 price is a 95% less than your base, 85%, 75%. Now that we have those fields saved and I can access this, I'm going to kind of change these a little bit so you can see the differences. Now, right now, remember, the percentages are showing profit margin or profit percentage, and it's based on the average cost. So on this stock number 10, you can see it's a 42% profit margin based on your $1.73 of your average cost. So we're going to save that. Now let's go back to Configuration Manager. Let's change these settings. We want to show markup on the inventory record instead of profit margin. And we want to show those percentages based on the last cost instead of the average cost. Now remember, Keystroke usually bases things on on average cost for your profit margin or your percentage. But again, speak with your accountant. Keystroke can either do on an accounting basis based on average costing or last cost. Once you make these decisions, you want to stick with them. You don't want to go back and forth. So speak with your accountant. So let's go back to Database Manager, bring up that same record, and now you can see these are based on markup, and it's based on the last cost. So, and this math makes sense. Your cost is $2. You have a 50% markup. So you take 50% of $2, which is $1, add it to the cost. That gives you a 50% markup. Again, remember, the base price is always going to be the highest price you ever set things up for. That's really the main thing you want to remember about pricing. We're not going to go into setting this up, but you do need to remember, determine what kind of pricing you want for your items, and you can set up your defaults on both the add and the edit for what kind of percentages you want. Different businesses, different industries have different pricing models. So kind of determine that and set it up before you start entering inventory. So we're going to go back to our PowerPoint presentation here. And let's do a little review. Remember, it's always the highest price, the base price. Talk with your accountant, your business partners to determine your pricing scheme that you want, whether it's based on average costing or last cost, and whether you want your records to show markup or profit margin. These are some basic formulas of how those work. The profit margin or profit is the price minus the cost divided by the price, which is a little bit different than the markup, which is the price minus the cost divided by the cost. Another little thing to remember, if a 50% profit margin, remember as I said, is the same as 100% markup. So that'll give you an idea of how things are set up. Once you determine all this, most of our reports have forms for sales that are either, you can either show the markup percentage or the profit percentage. So once you determine that, you can run your reports appropriately. I want to thank everybody for attending. Remember, same time, same place, at least for next week. Mike Tabor will be talking about backup options and ideas. Backups are something you always want to do. I'm sure Mike will be talking about that to a great extent. And hope you can be here for that. And backups, you know, it only takes one time that you don't have a backup. But I would like to open this up for questions. Does anybody have any questions on just this basic pricing in Keystroke?
Hey, can you show me again how to get to that screen where you have the plus percentages?
Sure.
Where you have the...
Sure. Let's go back to Keystroke. The way you get there is first you have to go into Database Manager and you have to activate a record. Right. So I'm going to go to Sales Manager, come back in Database Rec, and if you don't activate a database, none of the, you know, these intermediate menus will not work. So you activate the database you want to look at. We'll go back to the same record we were on. Under the Setup menu, Default is where you find those formulas and the access to Keystroke. We looked at Edit Mode. You can also Add Mode. Add Mode takes effect when you're adding a brand new record. And every database has this. But you can go to the Edit Mode. Your formulas are here. If you want to link them, you can see down here the base price is linked from cost. You can hit F2. You can link it from all kinds of things. It wouldn't make sense to link it to your department or anything like that. But you could have it linked from cost, which is average cost, or you can link it from last cost if you like. If you want to do everything based on last cost accounting, you can, you know, link it here from your last cost. And there also in our F1 help, there are some some great things on the defaults and your default settings. Take a look at that on what these default settings are. If you want to know what the formulas are, I found the best place to do it is if you're doing maybe a search and replace and you hit F1, it gives down towards the bottom replacement formulas. And here's your operators. Addition, you can have your arguments based on average cost, last cost, and you can talk about profit margins here. Okay, did that kind of cover what you needed?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
Great. Anybody else? Well, again, thank you for attending. Next week, Mike will be talking about backup options and some ideas. And hope everybody has a great holiday season, because I probably won't see you till after the holidays.